Hello everyone and welcome to the 2022 Sinquefield Cup Round 7 recap. In this round we had all 4 draws, so there wasn't any bloody games like in the previous round where we had 3 wins out of 4. So Shakhriyar Mamedyarov had a relatively quick draw against Jan Nepomniachtchi. That game wasn't as interesting because it was a long theory and looks like Mamedyarov just wants to be done with this tournament and just simplify the position to a draw. Dominguez game against Firuza was a very long game and it was a sharp Najdorf line. A very interesting game, so I highly recommend you check that game. But it was always equal. It was never a big advantage for neither side. And Caruana chose a very long theoretical line against Levon Aronian with the white pieces, but Levon knew everything and made a comfortable draw. And the game of the round is the game of NVL against Hans Niemann. So let's take a look how this game developed. Knight f3 actually. The first surprise came on the move 1 because NVL is one of the top e4 specialists, and here he is choosing to deviate from that and play the move knight f3. D5, g3. So we have some ready setup, but very quickly it's going to transpose into some type of Grunfeld position. And white is playing it with reverse colors. Now c4. And we reach this position, knight b3 played. Here actually knight b5, bishop b6, knight d4, it's actually a repetition. So if you choose to play knight d4 back. Here NVL played the move, let's go back. So he actually just played the move knight b3 after a couple of minutes of thinking. So I don't know if both players I think they're pretty much on their own in a couple of more moves because they're both already consuming time in this game. So knight b4, you have to do something with the knight. If you play here, that's gonna be hit by a move knight c5, putting pressure here. So it goes here, knight c3, bishop d2. The point of bishop d2 is when you play a3, now you never worry about bishop c3 options because the bishop takes on c3. I think they're both playing pretty accurately here, and this has still been played before. There are not so many games played, but played before. And here actually, interesting move is actually to bring this knight back on b8 and get him to a decent square. Because on a6 is misplaced. Here you're going to see actually he's going to find himself in a little bit of trouble. Queen c2. First interesting part as well because this is a new move. This is a novelty. Okay. Now I played bishop f5. Of course, Hans wouldn't mind to repeat the position, but NVL didn't even repeat once, so he immediately plays bishop e4, which is the correct move. And now queen d7, trying to fight for some of the squares because now takes queen e4. This is just very nice because then you play the move rook fd1. And so let's say queen d6, rook fd1, queen e5. And maybe a very, very small advantage here, I would say white has, because the a7 is a little bit weak and the knight is misplaced on a6. Okay, very small advantage, but not too much. So, but that didn't happen. Queen d7 was played, now giving another tempo, and queen e6. So at the moment, white has completed his development and now has a chance to take. And g takes f, ruining the structure. If you take with the queen, I think simply take, and you're just going to be in big trouble because the rook is landing on the 7th rank. Okay, so this will be slightly better for white. So g takes f, and now knight d4, inaccuracy that NVL is certainly going to regret it after, because if he had played the move knight d5, and this is offering some serious chances, guys. Rook, let's say rook fd8, knight f4, queen e4, and this is the both players probably saw this and then they kind of stopped here, thinking that queens come off the board, b2 pawn is going to be weak, black is doing absolutely fine, but that's not the case. There is rook d3 here, a fantastic move, because now if you take, pawn takes, now attacking your queen, well, now you play d4. with idea d5, and f5 pawn is also hanging. So this would be like actually a +1 advantage for MVL, and he really needed to try to get on the scoreboard, but he wasn't able to. So yeah, critical moment. I think I would say probably one of the most important moments here. If he plays, the only way to obtain any advantage is to play the move knight d5. Play knight d4. Bishop takes. Knight c5. Now, from the first glance, it looks like white should have some advantage, but actually, it's just not. It's move by move, but he's managing to equalize now, attacking on f5. Knight d4. Queen d3. Now defending the rook. And now you don't want to do this because then you're actually going to be worse here. Because queen takes c3 check. King g6, and yeah, you're just going to be quite uncomfortable here. There's g4 ideas as well here. So I played rook c6, and now the idea is just simply to double up. So there is not that much white can do. He has to move the rook. Rook b1 is a move, rook d1 is a move, but now simply take, and here. Now attacking here. There was one interesting line here. Take on f5, rook takes d6, rook d5, just everything comes off the board. And here I think, yeah, players got a similar position in the game. So the other option here is to give a check. Now you have to try to attack the rook. So king f6. If you go here, then there is this move check and take, check. And now check. If you go here, you're just going to get mated. Yeah, it's a long line. Check, check. If you go to g6, you're losing your queen. So you go here and I check and I take. And basically white is going to be up a pawn in that endgame. So that's why king h6 is not good, but you have king f6. And now we have to take, sacrifice both rooks actually. And there is no mate. Yeah, if you go here, you're going to get mated, obviously. So that's no good. He goes here, check, check. Now queen f3 check. Yeah, it just leads to a perpetual because you cannot go here. You go here, you're gonna simply regret it. So so rook d1, and now rook f8. So MVL decided not to take. He plays c4, and now it just takes. And now, very important move, I think, to trade queens. I mean, yeah, you can also play, let's say, h6 here, and position is relatively fine because black's rooks are very active too, and the king, it's very hard to attack the king when you don't have minor pieces. But he decides to trade, and rook on a7, and very precise, maybe tiny bit worse endgame for Hans, but very, very precise defense. Rook f6, this is important because if you play rook f6, opponent doesn't take, then you can go rook c2 and you generate a strong counterplay on the second rank. By rook f6, now the pawn structure is compromised, but you are winning the a pawn, and actually these structures with the h6 pawn, they're known to be much harder to break through than the one with the regular pawns. In fact, if you take the a pawn off, this is an easier draw than the regular pawns, because this way, every time there's any pawn break, you just capture everything off the board. So, but still, you still have the a pawn here, and again, it's important to keep an eye on the f2 pawn. A little bit of repetition. Now king e3. You can't take. You take. Rook moves away, and you're actually going to lose the game. It's like queen. So ML goes here, and here, basically the last move Last correct move you have to find is just king g8. The point being, if you take with a rook, I just simply go here and queen. So if you take with a king, rook f1 is very strong. And if you take here, you actually lose this to this, and yeah, you might even actually lose the h5 pawn, but of course this is just going to be a draw. So let's go back. Yeah, so I think overall a very comfortable play. You know, in the end game. I mean, at some point there was one chance here. I want to just go back and I highlight that moment again when he had that chance to play the move right here. Yeah, again, when you play 94, you're simplifying the position, so it's not so clear if you're going to get much out of it. So again, the key move is 95. Rook c8, 94 here, and incredible move rook d3. You know, just to force the take and take back with the pawn to remove the stone queen on from e4. All right, guys, that concludes the game. Hans managed to make a very comfortable draw against a world blitz champion, one of the top players in the world, MAXIME VACHIer-Lagrave. So we have 2 rounds remaining, and Wesley So has got a half a point lead, you know, over Alireza Firouzja and Ian Nepomniachtchi. Let's see if one of these players will make a sharp attempt to stop Wesley So, who's been, you know, 2 wins and several draws. So been playing very solid chess. So some exciting 2 rounds left, guys. Make sure you tune in and see these recap videos, okay? And also please subscribe to 1000 GM YouTube channel so we can create this kind of contents more often. Thank you very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the recap. See you. Bye-bye.